Okay, so let's make a full breakdown of the situation that we currently have on ADH Now, starting here from the monthly time frame, what we can see is that at the moment we are testing a very strong level of previous monthly support, which is now turned resistance and supply here. And until we will remain below this level from a monthly closing perspective, this area will continue to be acting as resistance. Therefore, the market could easily reject it to the downside. However, we do notice that at the moment the market is pushing into the level, and it seems like it could manage to break to the upside, especially if Bitcoin will continue to create higher highs from a daily perspective, which would obviously also push Ethereum since at the moment they are correlating. Dropping down on the weekly time frame, what we can see is that here on the weekly we clearly have now created a double bottom. The market here tested its zone, rejected it to the upside. At the moment, we also tested this area again. We are rejecting it to the upside, and more continuation seems definitely possible. However, it is also important to point out that this area is also previous weekly support, which is now turned resistance here. And until we will remain below this previous weekly support and resistance, this market could easily continue lower. However, once again, everything at the moment is pushing, and it seems like the market has good probabilities of managing to break above this resistance and then at that point create more bullish continuation. Dropping down on the daily time frame, what do we see? Now, here on the daily, we can see how the market has just created a strong impulse to the upside. Now, in general, after an impulse, if you want to measure the correction, what you have to do is take your Fibonacci from the low to the high of the impulse. And if we do that, we can see how we have at 0.32 and 50% retracements, currently lining up at this area that the market has a good probability of retracing to before then printing more potential continuation higher. Now, if we go and see what we have when it comes to the on chain data, so how Ethereums are moving on and off from exchanges, we can see how the black line is the price and the blue line is the amount of Ethereum on exchanges. And we can see how, even though the price has been dropping lately, the amount of of Ethereums on exchanges has continued to drop quite aggressively, meaning that a lot of Ethereums are getting bought and moved away from exchanges, specifically in cold storage, which is obviously a quite bullish sign for Ethereum, meaning that more continuation to the upside definitely seems quite possible. So if we will have a correction around this zone, this is a quite interesting area inside of which we could be looking for a potential longing opportunity. And how we would be doing that with students, as usual, we will be reactive and not predictive. The monthly, weekly, and daily combined with the on chain data, those are the best time frames from a directional perspective. However, when it comes to confirmations and entries, the best time frames are the intraday time frames, so 4 hour and lower. Therefore, with students, what we would be doing is monitoring price action from an intraday perspective instead of this area waiting for the market to shift from an intraday bearish market as we would have to an intraday bullish market. And if the market would shift from an intraday bearish to bullish market and provide to us one of our valid entries at that point, we could be looking for this potential long with a good risk to reward and good probabilities at that point for the move to the upside and for the market to complete this impulse correction and impulse pattern to the upside. Now, if you enjoyed this free analysis education and update, make sure that you drop a like in a comment. It really does support the creation of more free analysis education and updates for all of you, and I will see you in my next breakdown.